Hello students, today we are going to study about the Lee-Chatelier principle, that is factors affecting chemical equilibrium. You know that once the equilibrium is established, then if temperature is constant, then equilibrium will be undisturbed. But equilibrium can be disturbed by making some changes. And the effect of that changes are analyzed by applying Lee-Chatelier principle. Now what are factors are which can disturb chemical equilibrium? See, those factors are like we can change concentration of the reactant or product, and by this equilibrium will be getting disturbed, or by change of pressure, temperature, volume and inert gas. These are the factors are there which can disturb chemical equilibrium. That is, once the equilibrium will be disturbed, then the reaction is going in one direction, that is forward or backward direction. Now we can analyze the effect of all these factors by applying Lee-Chatelier principle. So it is a very important principle is. Now what does the principle state? See, a very simple concept is there. Whenever any change is applied at the chemical equilibrium point, then equilibrium always tries to oppose that change, and it shifts in that direction so that the effect of that change is getting nullified or counterbalanced. Means equilibrium always tries to oppose the change and will be shifting in that direction so that effect of that change is getting nullified or counterbalanced. So equilibrium has got an opposing tendency. This is the fundamental principle of Lee-Chatelier principle. Now we can apply this concept one by one for all these factors which are disturbing chemical equilibrium. Okay, the first factor is the effect of concentration change. The effect of concentration change. Let us see it. For example, if we take this equilibrium, which is PCl5 gas is giving PCl3 gas and Cl2 gas, and temperature is constant and equilibrium is maintained. Now if at the equilibrium point, if we increase the concentration of reactant, that is PCl5, at constant temperature, so by increasing the concentration of PCl5, definitely equilibrium is going to be disturbed. Like any of the reactant or product, if their concentration will be increased or decreased, then equilibrium is going to be disturbed. So if we increase the concentration of PCl5, then we have just seen the principle here. What will be happening? Equilibrium will try to oppose that change, and we have increased the concentration of PCl5. So what is equilibrium will be trying to do? It will try to decrease the concentration of PCl5. And how does concentration of PCl5 will decrease? It can decrease only when the reactions start moving on the forward side. Then the concentration of PCl5 is going to be decreased. So this means that we can obtain a general conclusion that if we increase the concentration of the reactant, then equilibrium tries to oppose that, and it tries to decrease the concentration of reactant, and then reactions start going in the forward direction. So it is that for the reactant concentration increase, the effect is coming like this. Similarly, suppose if we increase the concentration of any of the product, then what is happening? Then equilibrium tries to oppose that change, and it always tries to not decrease the concentration of product. And how does the concentration of product will be decreased? This can happen only when the reactions start moving on the backward side. So you can see that equilibrium has got the opposing tendency in both the case. And what is general conclusion coming? That increase in the concentration of product will be shifting the reaction on the backward side, and increase in the concentration of reactant will be shifting the reaction in the forward side. So these two effects are coming. Likewise, if we decrease the concentration of PCl5, if we are decreasing it, then again equilibrium tries to oppose that change, and it will try to increase the concentration of PCl5, because equilibrium has got the opposing tendency. And how does the concentration of PCl5 will increase? When the reactions start moving on the backward side. Or if we decrease the concentration of Cl2 or PCl3, again equilibrium tries to oppose that change and will try to increase the concentration of these two, and this can happen only when the reactions start moving on the forward side. So you can see that this concept can be applied in this manner. Fine. And we have seen the conclusion that by changing the concentration of reactant or product, how does equilibrium is getting disturbed? Okay, this thing can also be analyzed by the reaction quotient concept. The reaction quotient concept, that is QC or QP. Reaction quotient is applied only at the disturbed point. When the equilibrium is getting disturbed, then it is applied. And how does QC or QP is obtained like QC? QC is obtained by concentration of product by concentration of reactant. By the concentration of reactant at the disturbed point. At a disturbed point. QC or QP is given by this. Now, what we have done, suppose if we increase the concentration of PCl5, so by increasing the concentration of PCl5, this ratio is going to be decreased. So in that case, QC is going to be decreased. And now QC become less than KC. That is happening on. And we know if QC is less than KC, then what is happening? Then equilibrium will be going. Then QC has to be increased, and QC has to be increased, and QC will increase only when this numerator is getting increased and denominator is getting decreased, and this happens only when the reactions start moving on the forward side. So we can also see by this manner. Or suppose if we increase the concentration of any of the product, in that case, what is happening? In that case, we are increasing this or both of them. So in that case, QC become higher than KC. And now QC has to be decreased. And when how does QC will be decreased? You can see that when concentration of PCl5 is going to be increased, and these two concentrations are going to be decreased. And this happens only when the reactions start moving on the backward side. So by both the concepts, we can analyze the effect of concentration change with the help of Lee-Chatelier principle. We can do that, and we can apply this concept in this manner. Fine. So the first important factor is that is the effect of concentration change, and it can be done in this manner. The second factor which is disturbing the chemical equilibrium is temperature, and temperature plays a very, very important role at the chemical equilibrium point. Let us see that the effect of temperature change. Definitely, by changing temperature, the chemical equilibrium is going to be disturbed, definitely. And you know that equilibrium constant K, Kc or Kp, always depend upon temperature. It depends upon temperature. Fine. So obviously, if temperature will be changed, then K is going to be changed. And if K is going to be changed, then equilibrium is going to be disturbed. And we can see that suppose if K increases, then concentration, if K increases, then in that case the reaction is going on the forward side. And if the K decreases, then the reaction is going on the backward side. If K decreases, then reaction is going on the backward side. Okay. Now, there is a very, very important relation is there, which is the dependence of equilibrium constant K on temperature. And with the help of that relation, we can make a conclusion here. And that relation is called as Van 't Hoff equation. It is called as Van 't Hoff equation. Okay, what is that? See, the Van 't Hoff equation is log base 10 K2 by K1 is equal to delta H upon 2.03 R into 1 upon T1 minus 1 upon T2. The Van 't Hoff equation is this. And with the help of this equation, we can analyze the effect of temperature on chemical equilibrium. We can do that. Okay, there will be two cases. That is whether reaction is endothermic or exothermic. So let us look at the first case, whether reaction is endothermic. Let us see that. Endothermic equilibrium. Okay, first case is that if there is an endothermic equilibrium means the heat is getting absorbed, so the enthalpy change is positive. And suppose if we are increasing temperature, means T2 is more than T1. यहाँ पर हम टेम्परेचर इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं, सो T2 इज मोर देन T1 और रिएक्शन एंडोथर्मिक है, तो इफ T2 इज मोर देन T1 then 1/T2 is less than 1/T1. Fine. Now we can apply this point here in the Van der Waals equation. अच्छा, what do you obtain on the right side? देखिए delta H is positive, it is positive, and 1/T2 is less than 1/T1. It is less than 1/T1, so everything is positive here. So we are getting what? We are getting that log base 10 K2 by K1 is actually positive. Fine. And this means what? Log की value positive आ रही है, means this happens only when K2 by K1 is more than 1 or K2 is more than K1. K2 is more than K1. Okay, we are getting this conclusion. And this has got a important interpretation here. Means for the endothermic equilibrium, if we are increasing temperature, then the value of K is getting increased. What does this imply? If the value of K is getting increased, this means that the concentration of product is getting increased and concentration of reactant is getting decreased, means equilibrium is going on the forward side. Fine. And we can make a general conclusion. And what is that? For any endothermic equilibrium or for any endothermic reversible reaction, if temperature will be increased, then always K is getting increased. And in that case, equilibrium is going on the forward side. It is getting disturbed and going on the forward side. Fine. So this important conclusion is obtained from the Van der Waals equation, and you can see the proof for it. And the second part is if the reaction is exothermic. If the reaction is exothermic, means here the heat is getting released, so delta H is actually negative. And suppose again we are increasing temperature, T2 more than T1, so 1/T2 is less than 1/T1. And if we apply this thing here in the Van der Waals equation, or what we obtain, delta H is negative, but 1/T2 is less than 1/T1. So the entire thing become, this is positive but this is negative, entire thing become negative actually. So what we obtain, log K2 by K1 is actually negative. Means this happens only when K2 by K1 is less than 1 or K2 is less than K1.